John Miller sat quietly at the edge of the large round table in the Galactic Council chamber. The room buzzed with the voices of 20 different alien species. Some spoke through translators, others through natural organs that clicked, whistled, or rumbled. John had learned to understand most of them over his 15 years as Earth's senior diplomat. Today, he felt more tired than usual. The Zarthian ambassador, a tall blue-skinned being with 4 arms, stood at the center of the chamber. His voice boomed as he listed new restrictions that the Council wanted to place on human colonies. The human expansion in the Orion sector must be limited to 3 planets, not 5 as they requested, said Ambassador Krell. Their military vessels must remain at current numbers, and they must share their new medical technology with all Council races. John wrote notes on his tablet but didn't look up. He had heard it all before. For 50 years, since humans had joined the galactic community, they had faced the same treatment. Limit this. Restrict that. Share your best work but get little in return. The Plex ambassador, a small reptile-like creature, spoke next. We must also insist the humans stop their deep space research in the areas beyond the Council territories. It is not safe for a young race to explore these regions alone. John finally looked up. Earth has followed every rule for 5 decades. We have limited our growth even as our population increased. We have shared technology that has saved millions of alien lives. Yet you continue to treat us like children. The chamber went quiet. John rarely spoke during these sessions. He usually just took notes and filed objections later through official channels. Ambassador Krell's skin darkened, a sign of annoyance in his species. Humans advance too quickly. Your adaptability makes other races nervous. These are not punishments but safeguards, for everyone's safety, including yours. I understand, John said, though he didn't. He closed his tablet and waited for the session to end. 3 hours later, John walked back to the human embassy on Nexus Prime, the capital planet of the Galactic Council. The 3 suns were setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. The embassy was a simple building compared to the grand structures of older races. Still, it had been home to John for many years. Inside his office, John poured a glass of whiskey, real Earth whiskey, not the synthetic kind served at council functions. His communication screen lit up with an incoming message. "Secure line from Earth," announced the computer. The face of President Elaine Carter appeared on screen. Her expression was serious but calm. "John, I've reviewed the Council's new demands," she said. "The Joint Chiefs and I have made a decision. It's time. Come home. All of you." John set down his glass. Those simple words, "Come home. All of you," were a code phrase, one that every human diplomat, trader, and worker in the galaxy had been trained to recognize. "Understood, Madam President." Initiating protocol walkaway. After the call ended, John took a moment to look out his window at the glittering city. Nexus Prime was beautiful, with its floating gardens and crystal towers. For all its flaws, the galactic community was a marvel of cooperation among different life forms. But they had never truly accepted humans as equals. John pressed a button on his desk. "Message to all Earth personnel on Nexus Prime. Pack essential items only. All staff to report to primary transport dock at 600 tomorrow. Earth has called us home." He sent similar messages to human embassies on 12 other worlds. Within an hour, every human diplomat in the galaxy knew. Within 2 hours, the orders had reached every human outpost, research station, and trade center. As darkness fell over the capital, John watched distant ships moving through the sky. He whispered to himself, "They never understood us. Maybe now they will." Lisa Ward yawned as she walked onto the bridge of her transport ship, the Starlight. The ship was docked at Orion Mining Station 6, where it had delivered supplies the day before. Lisa had expected to stay for 3 days while the crew enjoyed some time off. Now her plans had changed. "Captain on deck," said her first officer, Joe Blake. "At ease," Lisa said. She sat in her command chair and checked the message on her screen again. The orders had come directly from Earth Command, encrypted at the highest level. She had nearly dropped her coffee when she read them. "Is it true?" asked Joe quietly. "Are we really pulling out? All humans, everywhere?" Lisa nodded. "Protocol walkaway is active. We're to collect all Earth citizens from this station and the nearby mining operations, then head home. Similar orders have gone out across the galaxy." "But why now?" Joe looked confused. "What happened?" "Above our pay grade," Lisa replied. "But I've heard rumors about new restrictions from the Council. Maybe Earth finally had enough." The station's communication system buzzed. "Captain Ward, this is Station Director Grovel. What is the meaning of this? My human workers are all requesting transport. They say Earth has recalled them." Lisa took a deep breath. "That's correct, Director. I have orders to evacuate all Earth citizens from your station and the surrounding operations. But this is absurd." The alien director's voice rose in pitch. "We have production quotas, contracts. The humans run critical systems." "I understand your concern," Lisa said calmly. "But my orders are clear. Please have all Earth citizens ready for departure in 3 hours." 6 hours later, the Starlight pulled away from the station with 87 humans on board. Through the viewports, Lisa could see the confusion on the station. Lights were blinking irregularly, and maintenance robots moved in erratic patterns without human guidance. Similar scenes played out across thousands of worlds. Humans simply stopped working. They walked away from research labs, trading posts, and diplomatic missions. No explanations, no negotiations, just quiet, orderly departures. On the Centauri Exchange, a massive space station where traders from 50 species bought and sold goods, Velderi merchant Zector watched in disbelief as human traders closed their accounts one by one. "You cannot do this," he shouted at Ben Harris, who had been his business partner for 8 years. "We have deals pending, shipments in transit." Ben looked genuinely sorry. "I don't have a choice, Zek. Earth has called us home." "But why? What grievance does Earth have?" Ben shrugged. "Maybe ask your council representatives. They're the ones who keep treating us like second-class citizens." As Ben walked away, the station's information screens began to flash red. The market was crashing. Human traders made up only 15% of the exchange's members, but they handled nearly 40% of its volume. Their sudden withdrawal sent shockwaves through the system. In deep space, the Starlight joined a growing stream of ships heading toward Earth. Lisa's communication officer reported that over 500 vessels were now in their convoy, with more joining every hour. "Captain," Joe said, checking the long-range sensors, "I'm picking up several Council military vessels changing course to intercept our flight path." Lisa nodded. "They won't stop us. Not with this many ships." She opened a channel to the other captains. "All vessels maintain course and speed. Do not respond to any communication from non-human sources. We're going home." Across the galaxy, alien communication channels buzzed with confusion and mounting concern. At first, many species thought this was a human negotiation tactic, a temporary walkout that would end in a day or two. But as critical systems began to fail without human maintenance, and as markets destabilized without human traders, the reality became clear. This was not a negotiation. This was not temporary. The humans had simply had enough. Alan Russo sat in a large meeting room in the North American territory. 3 weeks ago, he had been the human liaison for advanced technology on the Maraxian homeworld. Now he was back on Earth, along with every other human who had worked among the stars. "They called 17 times today," said Grace Phillips, the defense secretary. She looked tired but determined as she entered the room. "The Maraxian Prime Minister keeps demanding to speak with you specifically." Alan nodded. "Their central power grid is probably failing by now. I was the only one who understood how to balance their new fusion system." "And you never trained any of them to take over?" asked Grace. "I tried," Alan said with a small smile. "They wouldn't let me." said the technology was too dangerous for their workers to access without human supervision. They wanted to keep us dependent on them, but it backfired. Grace looked at the large screen on the wall, which showed thousands of incoming communication attempts from across the galaxy. They're all calling nonstop now. They've realized how much they depended on us. Early that morning, the Galactic Council had sent an official delegation to Earth's orbit. They were denied permission to land. Earth sent no replies to their increasingly urgent messages. Meanwhile, 50 miles beneath the Pacific Ocean, Sam Baker supervised the activation of Earth's hidden defense network. For decades, while sharing some technologies with alien races, humans had kept their best innovations secret. Shield generators online, reported a young technician. All orbital platforms showing green status. Sam watched as a shimmering energy field became visible around Earth. Similar shields appeared around Mars, the Moon, and every human colony in the solar system. On screens around the room, technicians monitored previously concealed defense platforms as they emerged from hidden bases. No weapons charging, Sam reminded his team. Just defensive systems. We're not starting a fight. A warning light flashed on the main console. Sir, a Zarthian diplomatic vessel is approaching Earth orbit. They're not responding to automatic warnings. Sam nodded. Let them come close enough to see our defenses, then activate the barrier. On the Zarthian ship, Ambassador Krell watched in shock as Earth's orbital defenses revealed themselves. Impossible, he whispered. Their technology is decades beyond what they shared with the Council. As his ship approached, it suddenly stopped moving. No impact, no violence. The engines simply could not push it forward any further. An invisible barrier prevented any closer approach to Earth. Try to communicate with them again, Krell ordered his communication officer. No response on any channel, Ambassador. The humans are silent. In the Council chambers on Nexus Prime, confusion turned to fear as reports came in from across the galaxy. Human defensive capabilities were far beyond what anyone had suspected. Even more concerning was what the humans were not doing. They were not attacking, not making demands, not engaging at all. They had simply withdrawn behind impenetrable shields and gone silent. We must understand what they want, said the Plex representative, his scales pale with worry. Why won't they speak to us? Perhaps because we never truly listened before, replied the Illyrian ambassador, who had often advocated for better treatment of humans. For 50 years, we treated them as junior partners while benefiting from their innovations. Now we see what they were capable of all along. Back on Earth, Karen Hayes monitored alien communications from a hidden base on the Moon. Her team translated and categorized thousands of messages flooding in from across the galaxy. Medical emergency on Rigel 9, reported one of her analysts. Their central hospital has lost power without human engineers. Trade routes in the Sagittarius Arm are in chaos, said another. Navigational systems are failing without human maintenance. Karen compiled these reports for Earth's leadership. The galaxy is starting to understand, she told her team. We weren't just workers out there. We were the ones holding everything together. As night fell over North America, Alan Russo looked out at the stars. Somewhere up there, his Meraxian colleagues were finally discovering just how much they had underestimated humanity. Karen Hayes had not slept for more than 4 hours at a time since the withdrawal began. Her monitoring station on Luna was busy around the clock, tracking the ripple effects of humanity's departure from galactic affairs. She sipped her coffee as she reviewed the latest reports. Medical facilities across 3 sectors were struggling without human doctors and their creative approaches to treatment. Engineering projects had stalled. Trade routes were becoming dangerous without human navigators who knew the safest paths through hyperspace. Commander Hayes called one of her analysts. We have new information from the Zarthian systems. Karen moved to his station and looked at the data. The Zarthians, who had been most aggressive toward Earth and the Council, were now facing problems at home. Their outer colonies were reporting food shortages. Several manufacturing centers had shut down without human technicians. Their military vessels are clustered at their borders, the analyst said. But none are moving toward Earth space. Karen nodded. They're afraid. They've seen our defenses now. And they have bigger problems to deal with. In a massive underwater facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Doug Williams led a team of engineers making final adjustments to a new type of ship. The vessel was unlike anything humans had shared with the galactic community. Its hull was made of materials that could withstand the pressures of a black hole's event horizon. Its engines could bend space in ways that made current faster than light travel look primitive by comparison. Run the final tests, Doug told his team. President Carter wants the Phoenix ready to launch within 2 weeks. Do you think we'll meet it? Asked his assistant, Carrie. Doug looked at the sleek ship through the observation window. I hope not. But we've been preparing for 50 years, just in case the galaxy decided humans were too dangerous to exist. We gave them our outdated tech and kept the best for ourselves. He checked his tablet as a new message came in. The first official diplomatic envoy has been cleared to approach Earth. Just one ship, the Illurian ambassador. The Illurians had always been among the more reasonable species in the Council. Their ambassador, Thel, had often spoken in favor of treating humans with more respect. In orbit around Earth, the defensive grid parted to allow a single Illurian vessel to approach. Unlike the massive Zarthian ship that had tried to force its way through days earlier, this small craft came with proper clearance. Ambassador Thel sent a simple message as his ship neared Earth. What would it take for humanity to return? On the main continent of the Zarthian homeworld, the situation was becoming desperate. Without human engineers, their power grid was failing in multiple sectors. The public was growing angry as they learned how dependent their empire had become on human expertise. How did we allow this to happen? Demanded Premier Zor in the emergency council session. How did we become so reliant on a species we claimed was inferior? We took their innovations but restricted their advancement, admitted the science minister. We pushed them to share while giving little in return. And all the while, they were developing technologies far beyond what they showed us. Back on Earth, a message from the Illurian ambassador was delivered to President Carter's office. Karen Hayes brought the report personally. They're starting to understand, Karen said. The Illurians are proposing to sponsor a new agreement between Earth and the Council, one that would recognize humanity as a full and equal partner. President Carter studied the proposal. And the Zarthians? Internal problems, Karen replied. Reports suggest their leadership is facing rebellion in 3 systems. Their people are angry about resource shortages. The president stood and walked to the window, looking out at the Washington Monument in the distance. Schedule a meeting with the Illurian ambassador. It's time to present our terms. Around Earth, the vast fleet of human ships that had returned from across the galaxy remained in defensive formation. Among them was Lisa Ward's transport, the Starlight, now serving as part of the Outer Perimeter Patrol. Captain, called her sensor officer, I'm picking up unusual activity at the edge of the system. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Lisa checked her display. Identify them. Mixed signatures, Captain. Vessels from at least 8 different species. They're holding position just outside our defensive boundary. Looks like the galaxy is coming to talk, Lisa said quietly. Let's see if they're finally ready to listen. 3 months after humanity's withdrawal, the White House welcomed its first alien visitors. The grand meeting room had been prepared with special chairs to accommodate the different body types of the 7 major species represented. Security was tight but not obvious. Hidden scanners checked for weapons while appearing to be simple decorative elements. President Elaine Carter entered the room with a calm confidence. At 62, she had the bearing of someone used to making difficult decisions. The alien representatives rose as she entered, a sign of respect that would have been rare just months ago. Welcome to Earth, she said simply. I appreciate your willingness to travel here for these talks. Ambassador Thel of the Illurians bowed slightly. We appreciate Earth's willingness to speak with us after such a long silence. President Carter took her seat at the head of the table. For decades, we complied with the Council's restrictions. We limited our growth. We shared technology. We played by your rules. And all the while, we prepared for the day when the Council might decide humans were too dangerous to exist. That day nearly came. The Zarthian representative, not Ambassador Krell, but a lower-ranking diplomat named Mev, shifted uncomfortably. His species had been the most vocal about containing human expansion. Now we offer new terms, the president continued. She nodded to Linda Ross, Earth's chief negotiator. Linda placed a tablet in front of each alien representative. This is the Humanity Accord. It outlines a completely restructured relationship between Earth and the galactic community. The room was silent as the aliens read the document. Their expressions, those that had recognizable expressions, showed surprise and disbelief. "This is unprecedented," said the Plex representative, his scales changing color in agitation. "Full sovereignty of human space, unrestricted development rights, removal of all technology-sharing mandates, seats on every major council committee. These terms are non-negotiable," Linda said calmly. The Zarthian representative, Mev, made a sound like a laugh. "And if we refuse, will humans remain hidden behind our shields forever? The galaxy is struggling without you, yes, but we will adapt." President Carter nodded to a man standing quietly near the door. Paul Knight, head of Earth's security forces, stepped forward. He placed a small device on the table. "This is a demonstration," Paul said. He activated the device. Immediately, every piece of alien technology in the room, from communication devices to personal health monitors, powered down. "A simple energy dampening field," Paul explained. "It can disable any known alien weapons system remotely. We developed this technology decades ago, but never deployed it." The aliens stared at the device in shock. "We've always been more capable than you gave us credit for," Linda explained. "We chose cooperation. We still prefer it, but only on fair terms." Ambassador Thel recovered first. "May I ask, if humans possessed such advanced technology, why did you accept the Council's restrictions for so long?" "Because we wanted peace," President Carter said. "We still do, but peace cannot exist without respect. Your cultures are older than ours. Your empires span more space. But humanity has survived trials you cannot imagine, and we've learned to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." She stood and walked to the window that overlooked the National Mall. "Earth has endured 3 world wars. We've faced climate collapse, nuclear winter, and pandemic. Each time, we came back stronger. Our history taught us to be ready for anything, including the day our galactic neighbors might turn against us." The Nelvian representative, a being with luminous skin that changed colors with emotion, glowed a soft blue, their color of realization. "You never needed our technology." "No," Linda confirmed, "but we valued the peace that came with cooperation." The meeting continued for hours as the aliens asked questions about the Humanity Accord. Some points were clarified, but none were changed. Earth's position remained firm. As the session ended, Ambassador Thel approached President Carter privately. "My government is prepared to support your terms in the Council," he said. "We realize now that we misjudged humanity. Perhaps we were even afraid." President Carter nodded. "Fear is understandable. How we respond to that fear defines us." Outside the White House, ordinary citizens went about their lives, unaware of how the galaxy was changing in that meeting room. Children played in parks. Workers hurried to lunch meetings. Life continued, just as it always had through humanity's long history of challenges and triumphs. As negotiations continued over the following days, Frank Adams prepared to reveal one of humanity's best-kept secrets. As head of the science division, he had overseen research that went far beyond what Earth had shared with the galactic community. Today, he would show the alien representatives just how far that research had gone. The meeting room was quiet as Frank entered with 3 assistants. Each carried a sealed container marked with medical symbols. "Before we continue discussing the Humanity Accord," Frank began, "there is something you should know. Over the past 30 years, human scientists developed cures for diseases affecting several alien species. Treatments we were forbidden to share because of council restrictions on what they called unverified medical procedures. The Norvan representative, a tall being with pale skin and six-fingered hands, leaned forward. "What diseases?" Frank nodded to his assistants, who placed the containers on the table. "This one contains the cure for Thalaxian neural decay, which has been devastating Norvan colonies for the past decade." The Norvan's hands trembled. "That disease has killed millions of my people. Our best scientists found no treatment." "Our scientists did," Frank said simply. 2 decades ago. But when we tried to share it, the Council Medical Board refused to approve it without 50 years of testing. So we kept it ready, hoping someday to help. He pointed to the second container. "This holds the treatment for Zarthian lung blight. And this one," he pointed to the third, "can prevent the genetic disorder affecting Plex hatchlings." The room went completely silent. Then the Norvan representative broke down, making the keening sound that their species used to express overwhelming emotion. "You had these cures all this time?" the Plex representative asked, scales changing to a deep purple of shock. Frank nodded. "We are offering to begin immediate distribution of all treatments, regardless of the outcome of these negotiations. Human medical ships can be ready within days." Linda Ross, Earth's chief negotiator, spoke up. "We developed these treatments because we could, because suffering anywhere matters to us. We held them back only because we were forced to by regulations designed to keep human innovation contained." While this revelation unfolded on Earth, humans were returning to some of their abandoned colonies. On Epsilon, a frontier world at the edge of what had been permitted human space, Bill Cooper supervised as workers unloaded advanced terraforming equipment. "Set up the atmospheric processors first," he instructed his team. "We should have breathable air across the valley within 48 hours. His assistant checked the readings on her tablet. "That's impossible. The council-approved methods would take years to process this much atmosphere." Bill smiled. "We're not using council-approved methods anymore." True to his word, 2 days later the valley's poisonous air had been transformed. Plants from Earth were already taking root in the newly fertile soil. What would have taken a decade with council technology had been accomplished in days. Back on Earth, historian Maria Johnson led a small group of alien scholars through a secure facility deep beneath the old city of Oxford. The room they entered contained archives sealed for over a century. "What you're about to see has never been shared with non-humans," Maria explained. "These are the complete records of human history, including the 3 extinction-level events we survived before achieving spaceflight." She activated a display showing Earth during the last nuclear winter. Cities lay in ruins while survivors created underground shelters and developed new technologies to clean their poisoned atmosphere. "The first event was climate collapse," Maria explained. "The second was nuclear war. The third was a bioweapon pandemic. Each time, billions died. Each time, we rebuilt. We survived by being innovative, adaptable, and by never giving up." The alien scholars moved through the exhibits in stunned silence. They saw holographic recreations of devastated cities, of humans fighting to survive in impossible conditions. "We look optimistic," Maria told them gently. "We act friendly. We value peace, but preparing for the worst is in our DNA. We survived extinction 3 times on our home planet. We were not going to risk a 4th time among the stars." One of the Illurian scholars turned to her. "No wonder you advanced so quickly. No wonder you were so ready." Maria nodded. "Now you understand why we walked away, and why we'll only come back on our terms." Ryan Peters stood tall as he led the alien dignitaries through the massive shipyard hidden beneath Europa's icy surface. As commander of Earth's previously concealed defense fleet, he had spent most of his career in secret. Now, he was finally able to show the truth of humanity's capabilities. "This facility was built 30 years ago," Ryan explained as they walked past enormous vessels under construction. None of these ships used technology we shared with the galactic community. The alien representatives stared in awe at the ships. They were unlike anything in the Council fleets, sleeker, with hulls made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. These vessels can travel at speeds 5 times faster than what we've shown you, Ryan continued. Their defensive systems can withstand direct hits from any weapon currently known in the galaxy. The Zarthian diplomat, Mev, stopped walking. With ships like these, you could have conquered half the galaxy. Ryan turned to face him. We could have. We chose not to. Remember that when you wonder why we deserve equal standing. Above them, through the transparent ice ceiling, Jupiter filled the view with its swirling clouds. The massive gas giant had served as the perfect cover for humanity's greatest shipyard, hidden in plain sight, but protected by the harsh radiation that kept most alien sensors from probing too deeply. Across the galaxy, the first human specialists were returning to critical installations. Nancy Wright stepped back into the Proxima Medical Center she had walked away from months earlier. The hospital had once been the pride of the sector, but now it was in disarray. Equipment malfunctioned, patients filled the waiting areas, and the alien medical staff looked exhausted. The hospital director, a Plex named Dr. Sev, rushed to meet her. Nancy, thank the stars you've returned. We've lost 12 patients this week because we couldn't calibrate the tissue regenerators. Nancy nodded calmly. I'll fix them. And I brought something else. She opened her medical case to reveal vials of medication. The cure for Thalaxian neural decay. Earth has authorized immediate distribution. Dr. Sev's scales turned bright gold, a sign of joy in his species. This will save thousands here alone. As Nancy walked through the hospital corridors, she noticed how the other staff members stepped aside, watching her with a mixture of relief and something new, respect that bordered on awe. Meanwhile, on the Zarthian homeworld, a revolution had taken hold. The streets of the capital city were filled with protesters demanding the removal of leaders who had antagonized Earth. Food shortages had spread to major population centers, and power outages were becoming common as systems failed without human engineers to maintain them. In the royal palace, Premier Zor faced his council with grim news. The outer colonies have declared independence. They say they will make their own treaties with Earth. The trade minister slammed his 4 hands on the table. This is what happens when we build an empire on technology we don't fully understand. The humans gave us enough to become dependent, but never enough to be self-sufficient. Outside, the crowds grew louder. By nightfall, the palace guards had joined the protesters. Premier Zor and his council were placed under house arrest. The new provisional government's first act was to send an emergency message to Earth requesting human assistance with stabilizing their failing ecosystems. In the Grand Council chambers on Nexus Prime, representatives from over 200 species gathered for a historic session. For the first time, human delegates sat in positions of prominence, no longer relegated to the outer seats. The Galactic Charter was displayed on the main screen, but now with major sections highlighted for revision. The Illurian representative spoke to the assembly. For too long, we treated humans as junior partners while benefiting from their innovations and work. We restricted their growth out of fear, without recognizing that fear was unwarranted. Today, we begin the process of creating a truly equal partnership. John Miller, who had walked away from these same chambers months before, now returned as Earth's senior ambassador. As he took his seat, he caught the eye of Ambassador Krell, who had once dismissed humans so easily. The Zarthian nodded slightly, the closest his species could come to admitting they had been wrong. 5 years passed. The galaxy changed in ways few could have imagined before humanity's great walkaway. Jack Morris stood on the bridge of the research vessel Endeavour, watching the stars through the massive viewport. The ship was humanity's newest explorer, built with technology that had once been kept secret, but was now freely shared with trusted allies. Captain, we're picking up signs of artificial structures on the 4th planet, reported his science officer. Jack nodded. Take us into orbit. Standard first contact protocols. The Endeavour moved gracefully into position above a green-blue world. Sensors confirmed what they had suspected. A new sentient species had developed space technology and was beginning to explore their own system. Unlike the first human-alien contact a century before, Jack followed new procedures. The Endeavour made no attempt to hide. It positioned itself clearly in view, a demonstration of capability but not aggression. "Open a channel using universal mathematics," Jack ordered. "Let them know we come in peace, but are capable of defending ourselves if needed." His communications officer smiled, extending a hand while standing tall. "Exactly," Jack said. This was how humans now approached the galaxy, with friendship but without weakness. On Earth, President Elaine Carter stood before a mixed audience of humans and aliens at the newly established Galactic Cooperation University. After winning a second term, she had focused on building institutions that would last beyond her presidency. "Today, we celebrate the first graduating class of this unique institution," she said to the assembled students. "You represent the future, a galaxy where different species work together as true equals." The audience included beings from 27 worlds. Some had once been Earth's harshest critics in the Council. Now they sent their brightest young people to learn alongside humans. "Peace isn't the absence of strength," President Carter continued. "True peace comes when strength is acknowledged, respected, and then set aside in favor of cooperation. Remember this as you return to your worlds." High above the planet, construction continued on the massive Harmony Station. The space structure combined technology from 12 species, creating something greater than any one civilization could have built alone. Human engineers worked alongside aliens who had once looked down on them, now collaborating as equals. Supervisor Carrie Lee floated outside the station, checking the latest section of solar arrays. Beside her worked a Zarthian engineer, something that would have been unthinkable 5 years earlier. "The power output is 30% above projections," the Zarthian said. "Your design modifications were brilliant." Carrie smiled inside her helmet. "And your materials science made it possible. We're better together." John Miller, once the diplomat who had walked away from the council chambers, now served as Earth's ambassador at large. His job took him across the galaxy, helping maintain the new relationships that had formed after the Great Withdrawal. Today, he watched as a mixed crew of human and alien cadets trained together on a space station orbiting Mars. They moved with the easy comfort of people who had grown up knowing many species, not just their own. "What do you think?" asked Ambassador Thel, who had become a close ally over the years. John considered the question. "I think the galaxy has changed for the better. Not just for us, but for everyone. Because humans walked away. Because we were willing to," John corrected. "We didn't want war. We just wanted respect. Sometimes you have to walk away to move forward." As the sun set over the Pacific Ocean, the new Galactic Council convened its first session under the completely revised charter. The document began with words that had been carefully crafted by representatives from 300 worlds. "All sentient beings, equal in rights and standing, united in purpose." The old peace, built on human submission, was indeed over. But a new peace had taken its place, one founded on mutual respect and true equality. On the Endeavour, Captain Jack Morris received an answer from the new species below. Their first message to the galaxy was simple but profound. "Who are you, and will you be our friends?" Jack smiled as he prepared to respond. The humans of old might have hidden their strength. The humans of the Council era might have shown weakness, but the humans of today would do neither. "We are humans," he replied. "We offer friendship freely, expect respect always, and stand ready to face the future together." Peace, they had all learned, wasn't simply the absence of conflict. Sometimes, peace meant having the courage to say no more, and the wisdom to return when conditions changed. Humanity had done both, and the galaxy would never be the same.